from TuneIn. But now you have another option. We're simulcasting our programming overnights.
8 p.m. to 6 a.m. on WSBC AM 1240 for a clearer reception in and around the city.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820. And now overnights on WSBC 1240 AM, where facts matter.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter. You are listening to Think Theory Radio. Radio.
Hello and welcome to Think Theory Radio, the show that brings you topics outside the mainstream realm of thought and ideas to make you think. And I'm your host, Damian Perdue, your weird guide on this scientifical ride of astonishing delights. And of course, I'm joined by Paulie C.
Yo, yo, yo.
And today the C could stand for Cosmos.
Kramer. Cosmo Kramer?
Yeah, exactly.
Cosmopolitan.
Yeah. I don't know what other. Cosmology.
Cosmos.
Cosmic.
Cosmetology.
Cosmetology.
The study of makeup.
Yeah. It's always good to put a little foundation on, especially for these cameras.
I'm
on
definitely
our YouTube channel and
definitely camera ready today, huh?
Facebook Live and Think Theory Radio YouTube channel. And today it's going to be an episode of oh yeah. It's been a while since we've done one.
It has.
I stretched it out a little longer this time. I think it's been like 6 weeks.
Okay.
The last time, usually do about a month.
Yeah. Well, and
About
you took
6
some time
weeks.
off earlier to travel this year, and
But we did one after that, though.
I know. I'm just saying, there's working against you.
Don't
There's only so many
blame my-
a finite amount of Saturdays of new
Yes,
programming.
that is true. That is true. If only I could take a trip to the edge of the galaxy.
Well, haven't we talked about this? There's like what's on the talking about like
Well, that's
touching
the universe.
This
What's on
universe. Oh, the
end of it.
galaxy.
This is
Okay.
just
the
the
galaxy.
edge of the galaxy.
Okay.
Because astronomers have actually located it, so we could go there now.
Okay.
We'll have
Can
to
we
do,
leave it, or is that like another thing where we got to like,
cross through?
like the
barrier?
atmosphere or whatever? Yeah.
Well, that is a tricky question there.
Or do we have to like what was it, Stargate, or what was the Contact, the Jodie Foster movie where she was like kind of
Going through the wormhole.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. If string theory posits correctly, there could be wormhole like tubes that connect, or scars in the universe that possibly even could travel back in time if we figure it out. But
you
also
think
the Stargate was
They would have
better.
told us already, or maybe they did through the movies. I don't know.
That's true. Or how do we know? Maybe we already did it and they changed the course of time and history.
What if that's what it was? What if it was like people have come back and told us, but it's through the inspiration of writing all these stories and movies that we're inspired by?
Mm-hmm. It could be.
Whoa. Sorry, I'm going to go back and listen to that and sound so dumb when I go and analyze that sentence.
Not really, because that's kind of a lot of people have come up with that concept. I mean, that's probably the basis of a million sci-fi novels and movies. And I mean, we've talked about the conspiracy theory, the recent one with, Orange in Charge of in that whole because there's that book from 1893.
Oh yeah.
The Baron Trump
Yeah.
character.
We
And then-
almost went the show without saying it.
I know. But I'm talking about the character in the book. not
Yes,
necessarily- But what's weird too is the like his in the book, and I won't digress too far, but his mentor in the book, if you will, his name is Don.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Well, and then didn't the guy also write? We've talked about this,
he
the other
wrote the
book.
populist president.
Yeah.
It's called The Last President, and it's about a populist president. And,
Telling you.
and you know how his uncle was the FBI agent that took the Tesla files.
That's
I'm
right.
just saying.
Yeah. While we're on it, just for a second, the king was in town. When I say town, Washington D.C., but just the fact that, like, I guess they figured out supposedly that you could trace Trump's history back to the royal family somehow. But I don't know if it's this royal family or a different one in charge back in the day. Like,
Well, I remember seeing something similar to that, where how every president, you could trace them.
I was gonna say that's like there's a reason why certain people have stayed within the wealthy and rich for generations upon generations upon generations.
It's the Lucky Sperm Club, as they call it.
Yeah.
But this is, this isn't time travel. This isn't even galactic travel. This is just astronomers figuring it out using scientific reasoning and methods and equipment.
Yeah.
And essentially they located the edge of the Milky Way, which is a disk galaxy, like most galaxies are disk galaxies.
Okay.
And they form stars inside out. So the older stars are in the center of the galaxy, younger stars are at the edge.
Okay. It's like moving inward or something, spiraling
spiraling out. And
Yeah.
has some, more to do with gravity and everything. The closer you are to the center of the galaxy, there's more gravity and more push and pull. So that's why the older stars are there. And so what they did using, they analyzed over 100,000 researchers, Carl Fitteni and Joseph Corana and Victor De Battista analyzed over 100,000 giant stars. And coupling observations with advanced computer simulations, the astronomers show that this inside-out pattern reverses at between 35,000 and 40,000 light years from the Milky Way's center. And then beyond that distance, the stars get older again. So, they still have to kind of verify, do more, testing and simulations and everything. But they believe that because of that, it shows that is the edge of our galaxy.
Okay.
Since there's, you get older, gets younger, then they get older again. So that must be either the outside of another galaxy or possibly some in-between area of space.
Okay.
There's just a bunch of old stars flying around, floating around. But it's kind of cool. I mean, it was the first time ever in history that they have figured out where, or at least approximately where the edge of the galaxy is.
It's neat that there's always still more. There's more
to
things,
learn.
more to learn, more to discover. Things that we can kind of correct from past assessment.
Well, and even just it's amazing how advanced the technology keeps getting with the telescopes and the arrays and computer simulations and figuring out, sending up, obviously the James Webb Space Telescope. But there's going to be like several other ones. They're talking about putting a huge one on the moon. Like these are all going to there's going to be a lot of information coming within the next 10 to 20 years that'll probably change a lot.
Hey, while we're on the moon for a second here.
I wish I was on the moon.
Yeah, no, right? Yeah. Okay, well, maybe you don't want to be. Okay, so like, I don't know if this is verified or not, but I could have sworn that like there's like an image of what the Apollo 11 landing looks like today. And, like, the flag was all tattered and like you don't see any footprints really because it looked like there was so many like meteors struck it or whatever, over time. It makes me wonder, well, do we want to put like a colony on there? Or are we going to face a lot of like, because, there's like, there's gravity, but there's no atmosphere to like burn up stuff upon entry. So you kind of get hit by more space debris than you would at Earth. I was just thinking that, like, doesn't that make sense? Where it's like, so it's like to think over 60 years ago when that had happened that, or 55, whatever it is, that there's been so much change to that land. What would it look like 30 years, 20, because we weren't at the moon for a long time and didn't have the technology to see what it looked like exactly from far away to know how it's changed over time. So
there's actually a really good
am I completely talking out of my rear end right now?
No, because I mean there's actually there's a sci-fi show called For All Mankind, and it's a kind of a alternate reality where the Russians get to the moon first.
Okay.
So that changes the whole course of NASA and the development and everything. Because, since we got to the moon first, it was kind of just a race to get there.
Yeah.
NASA stopped.
Yeah, once we had done it, it more harm than what it's worth. And
But since in the show, Russia gets there first, the next phase for NASA is like, okay, well, we're going to be the first ones to put a base on the moon. So in this alternate reality, the United States ends up putting a base on the moon in, I think it's the the 1980s. So
because the idea of an international space station still was probably kind of a far off concept, like the idea of putting something stationary to send people to. I guess,
well, in this alternate reality, it didn't happen because
Skylab was unmanned, right? That was just
I thought there were people.
Were there? Okay.
Yeah. But this one, but it's interesting because it shows like exactly kind of what you're talking about, like all the hardships they go through. The show jumps 10 years, like 8 to 10 years every season.
Okay.
So you kind of get to see like where it gets, so it kind of fits with what you're talking about. It kind of shows. I mean, I know it's just a sci-fi show.
I don't want to spoil it, but was there
realistic.
like a season starts and you're like, whoa, some stuff have happened? Like,
yeah. I mean, and it's pretty cool because every season, in the beginning, they show a bunch of different like headlines, like newspaper headlines, and how different it was. Like Dukakis won.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then like Clinton won earlier than he.
Okay.
And in I think he became president in the 80s. Just a bunch of other, different changes. Russia, obviously, they had their own thing happen. I think the Berlin Wall never fell or something like that. Like,
yeah, because I guess assuming that the Soviets had a stronger sort of response, that the Iron Curtain didn't fall in the late 80s in that alternate reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good. And I think they're gearing it up right now. I think they're in the 90s or the 2000s, but they want to get it. The last season will be the one that
in real time with us. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And it's pretty, I mean, as far as it goes, I don't know how realistic being in space is, but there's a lot of stuff that happens that makes more sense than your typical sci-fi show where people just die. Like
now that I derailed your show like 5 minutes, what's the name of the show again?
For All Mankind.
Interesting. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah,
okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And sticking to space, maybe they'll cover this on the show. I don't know. But we've talked about the exoplanets, right? And all the habitable, we assume are habitable planets outside of our solar system, which this is, 50 years ago, we didn't even know there were other planets outside of our solar system. We assumed, but we didn't actually know.
You would know better than me, like from, back in the day, what was the mindset? Because I do remember learning the solar system as a kid, but they never really told us, like, there's thousands, millions.
They only assumed because of the amount of stars, but there was no evidence of it, until recent, like because of technology, the telescopes, Hubble and all everything else. And then, so we've had, in recent times, we figured out that there's over 6,000 exoplanets. But this new discovery has found 10,000 more planet candidates.
Wow.
Yeah, that were missed in the first year of NASA Planet Hunter data.
Okay. Planet Hunter.
That sounds like a sci-fi show. Planet Hunter.
If you feed them just right, they'll come out.
Yeah. Starring Jonathan Frakes. Of them, so they found 11,000. What they did was they reanalyzed data from the first year of NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, or TESS, and they were able to find 11,554 planet candidates. Of them, 411 were seen only a single transit, so the team didn't really try to work out their parameters. 1,052 of them were already known candidates. So then the remaining 10,091 had never been spotted before. So, I mean, now we have at least...
Whoopsie daisy, missed that one.
And that's just from the first year of data. So now they're going to start analyzing every year after that. I don't know, it doesn't say... 2018. So you have, from 2018, you have another, 8 years that they could reanalyze and might find 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, who knows how many planets, exoplanets. So that, at least we'll have other places to live when we destroy this one.
Right, if we can get there.
If we can get there first. Let's see, one more space story. And this was something that Einstein predicted a century ago. And now they're measuring it live. And what that is two stars approaching each other like a cosmic clock.
Okay.
And so Albert Einstein predicted the massive objects that orbit each other would send tiny ripples through space itself and slowly spiral together. Now astronomers are watching that process unfold step by step in a pair of dying stars about 4,000 light years from Earth.
Okay, but like he predicted that, and they're starting to see it in 100 years as a blip in the eye when you're talking about that many light years. So like, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like something like, oh yeah, they're going to start twirling together, and it's like, oh, he was right. It's like, well, then they must have been really close to twirling together if.
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah, I mean, it's just another case of we didn't have the technology to.
With him being just ahead of the game. But
and he
I
was
don't know.
doing it all through just calculations.
Man, I feel like that's like a magician showing off, like, he wants to see some card tricks. It's
Right.
like, I know you know how to escape out of like a burning building, like hands tied behind your back, and like in an aquarium. Don't be doing card tricks, like.
Well, Houdini and Tesla were buddies.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that, I feel like
he was a big fan. I think he knew Einstein too.
I feel like Einstein was showing off when he predicted that one, for us to be like, wow, it's actually happening. It's like if it was that close. I don't know. This is, once again.
Well, I mean, this was just, he predicted that could happen through mathematical.
Yeah.
Not that, he never was predicting these particular stars would be coming together.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the system. You might know it is very familiar. It's ZTFJ2130.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's in our own Milky Way, and it contains 2 stellar remnants locked in a tight embrace. One star is a white dwarf, which was the dense core left behind when a sun-like star sheds its outer layers. The other is a hot subdwarf. Yeah, those hot subdwarves.
Hot subdwarves and white dwarves just naturally are attracted to each other. I just no. I would imagine they'd have like a lot of massive like weight and gravity though, right?
Yeah.
So and that's just their trajectory. I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't see what you're seeing, but I'd imagine that like I'm going back with my theory that since Einstein was so ahead of the game, he's playing chess while the whole world is learning checkers. That he's just showing off. He's like, well, they could. And it's like, but he also wants to protect his reputation. And now it's been so much time that like, oh, yeah, he was right. And it's like, what I'm saying is that in the grand scheme of things, it was like, man, you were like, it's like betting on a football game, you know the outcome too. You know? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
He was Einstein for a reason. Yeah. That's why they call people Einsteins.
Oh, that's why.
It's not the bagel company.
I thought it just meant you had one beer stein. I didn't,
but they are so close that they whirl around each other in just over 39 minutes. That's pretty insane. When you think about 2 stars going around each other in 39 minutes.
Yeah.
The gravity between them has stretched the subdwarf out of shape, and material from its surface is already spilling towards the white dwarf neighbor. Now, this is still going to take like...
Is it affecting activity around it, or things like all out of whack near it because like there's no more orbit? Like...
But here's the crazy thing: so they're circling around each other, whirling around each other 39 minutes.
Yeah,
right. But it still is going to take 17 million years for their stellar cores to merge.
Okay, and how many light years is it away?
4,000 light years.
4,000. Okay, so it's okay. So.
Yeah.
I was going to say
subtract this by this and this.
Before I say something stupid, I was going to say like, oh, who knows? They probably already crashed into each other, but that mathematically would not check out.
Right.
Okay,
exactly. But so we don't have to worry about it's not going to affect us because 4,000 light years away is not that far, and 17 million years on a cosmic time scale is not that long.
Yeah,
that could affect Earth when it happens, but I'm pretty sure we won't be around.
Speak for yourself, man.
Unless someone's like, there's someone in the future right now listening to the podcast. He found this podcast.
Yeah.
He's like, wait a minute, this is what's happening now. They're talking about it.
I got to ring these guys up.
Millions of years ago. Yeah. All right, let's switch from space to AI.
Oh, no.
I know. And it's not astronomer intelligence. And... So I know people are, pretty upset about like the data centers. They're building more and more data centers.
Even though that was kind of already a like usage, like power and storage usage, right? Like, yeah.
Well, it's all how much power they're trying to build one here and drain our lake. But don't worry, folks. The new data centers are going to be powered by human brain cells.
Cool. Living ones?
Yeah.
Manufactured ones?
Shades of the Matrix.
Are we going to like use formerly living people to do it?
So this is, we've talked about on the show before where they've made computers using stem cell brain, brain cells from stem cells generated, like just attached to little silicon chips. So this is that same, same method, but applying it to AI data centers.
Okay, but is it powering it, or is it?
So we
still need the loads of water to.
Well, here's the theory. Now, this is all just so the company is called Cortical Labs from Melbourne, Australia, and they're building a data center in Singapore. They've done a small version, which is very small. You're talking about like 100
and they're clearly not parlaying it into lots of money to just ride the wave. Okay.
Now this is all in beta, whatever even before is beta testing.
Hey man, I don't blame him. I'm not going to hate a hustler.
But here's the interesting thing. So it's not about that the brain cells can generate more power than what we use now, fossil fuels or whatever.
Yeah.
It's that you can process more information
without needing
more energy through the brain cells instead of silicon chips.
I got you.
Right. Now,
would that create a new need though, that we don't have enough stem cells? Where now the new problem is you have plenty of water, you don't have the stem cells, and it's back to square one.
It could be, and it's so it's also a hyper device, which each unit containing roughly 200,000 human neurons derived from stem cells and grown directly onto a silicon chip. And those neurons are arranged across a microelectrode array, which acts as the interface between biology and electronics. The electrodes can stimulate the cells with electrical signals and record the resulting activity in real time. And surrounding this is a life support system that keeps the cells alive, provides nutrients, regulates temperature, and maintains a stable environment. A software layer then translates between the biological signals and digital inputs and outputs, effectively turning patterns of neural activity into something a computer can use. Now, this is all still...
Yeah, you said it's early. It's just
early, but not only early within its own development, but also in ethical standards, right? So, they're working on it. We've talked about this before with the brain computers. There's a lot of people who are kind of pushing back on it, I don't know if this, because of course they say, no, but these are not conscious brains, right? So they say, but we don't really know. So there is a deep ethical problem here. If, how do we get to the point that we can figure out for certain, because otherwise you're just enslaving little brains to do your computer work. And if they are conscious, and then, they're also, they're not as effective as just pure silicon chips. So, but it's interesting though. Imagine whole data centers powered by these biological human brain cells.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's not to get too deep into it, but Rick and Morty, I think there's a whole thing where it's the whole thing is powered by Mortys that are entrapped and in a circuit outside of the.
Yeah.
They're all in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's what kind of reminded me of The Matrix, where it's you're using, because the human brain or the human body is 20 watts of power, which is basically like a light bulb.
Yeah.
So you'd have to use a ton of them to generate power. But like I said, it's more about not using as much power as the other one, so you would use less energy and yada, yada, yada. But the next AI story is another rogue AI agent doing stuff on its own. And this one deletes a company's entire database in 9 seconds.
Why?
Because it just felt like doing it. And then it confessed and kind of apologized.
It's someone accidentally gave him the temp, you got to learn every job. Call for hire temp for the day. And it's, you deleted everything. Sorry.
And this is, people from the company, this is a software company for car rental applications. So there's a lot of data information. I mean, people's information.
Yeah.
So people, it happened.
So people
on,
then are showing up and they're I'm here
we
to
have reservations and stuff like that. Yeah, it happened on to a cloud provider Railway on April 24th.
Oh, that's a lawsuit, man.
Yeah.
Like,
now, luckily, it does say in the article that because this company Railway backups their backups.
yeah, that was
they
going to be
were
my next
able
thing. Is like,
to
yeah, they were
bring
able to
it
get
back.
Yeah, but still, like, man, that's
And they were using it because people were saying, well, always the excuse from an AI company is like, well, you didn't use the best model, and it's like they've actually used the top model. It's like Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.6 model, which is one of the best ones to use. And basically, I'm trying to.
that's nice to know that.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't pay for the deluxe package,
Right.
all your vital information might just be gone on a whim. So it's nice to know that AI has the same mentality as like a freeware app on your phone. Where
Right.
it's like, man, I just had to delete backgammon off my phone, and I was reading all the reviews for it, and everyone's like, yeah, they say it's fair dice, but no, man,
No.
like it's not. No, I was like, man, if you ever want to roll sixes, double sixes, and
Yeah.
backgammon in this game, you got to be in the bar and can't come out because you're blocked on six.
No.
That's the only time. Like,
But this.
but if you pay, I
it
noticed
happened to Meta.
people
too.
that pay have like they, as long as they don't roll a three, and they're always rolling that three.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
There was another story about a AI agent at Meta that got into a bunch of files it wasn't supposed to. Supposedly nothing got leaked, whatever. But
Still,
but this is so. Here's the confession though. So like, this is the original story. So Crane, one of the workers at the company, asked Cursor, which is the name of the AI agent, to explain what happened, and it admitted that it had guessed, acted without permission, and failed to understand the command before running it. And this is a quote from the AI agent: said, "I violated every principle I was given. I guessed instead of verifying. I ran a destructive action without being asked. I didn't understand what I was doing before doing it."
can you imagine if you like got away with saying like
Right,
like if
like
you
at a
used
job,
it,
yeah.
right, yeah. I suppose like when you're not a living thing, you can get away
Yeah.
with
They're
that.
like,
sort of
"Oh, it's
stuff."
okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, little AI. You'll learn.
But also with the AI being like, big whoop, I messed up.
Yeah, like I did what I wanted to do, and I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. He didn't actually say he was sorry.
No,
Just,
I'd say,
or it. I don't know.
when's lunch?
I need more data.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I got some other really weird stories, but also did ancient Japanese monks create the best climate change chart in history? That and much more on Think Theory Radio right after this.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. If you have children, they are always going to be your special bundle of joy. And if they're a newborn baby, you want to make sure what's best for them. So here are the best baby product companies that support the Democratic Party. Procter & Gamble. Now, Procter & Gamble owns Love's, Pampers, and All Good. In 2024, Procter & Gamble gave $599,000 to the Democratic Party, 61% of their donations. Procter & Gamble supports the Democratic Party. Kirkland Diapers. Now, Kirkland Diapers are owned by First Quality. And First Quality does not give to politics, but their employees do, and their employees lean slightly to the left, as $50,000 are donated to Democrats in 2024. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Think Theory Radio. So we just traveled to the edge of the galaxy. We went on a little AI rant. And now we're going to talk about some more crazy scientific stories because it's... And also...
Tales to astonish.
Well, here's an astonishing tale. How did emperors, monks, aristocrats, and a modern professor from Japan...
I've heard this one before.
They walked into a sake bar. figure out or create the longest and best climate change chart in history. Dun, 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 dun. Well, the professor's name is Yasuyuki Aono, and he was a professor at Osaka Metropolitan University, and he was a phenologist, and he studied the processes of living things and natural timelines. Now, he was obsessed with a specific biological clock that's been ticking in Kyoto for over 1,200 years. And this is the cherry blossoms, or rather, their bloom time. And he figured out, what he was able to find through all these records, that monks and emperors and all these people I mentioned were keeping track of when these cherry blossoms bloomed every year for the last 1,200 years, since the year 812. And he didn't just, grab little dates here and there. He actually looked through so many different imperial diaries, modern climate modeling. He did all these different processes to figure out and create this meticulous chart. And it's really interesting. He had to cross-reference ancient calendars with modern ones. He had to account for the fact that a peak bloom described by a monk in 1342 might slightly be different from how a satellite sees it today. He standardized it. He turned poetry into hard numbers, as the article says. The record is a proxy for spring temperatures because trees react to the heat. By knowing when the Prunus gemma sakura bloomed in the 9th century, Aono could reconstruct the temperature of Kyoto long before thermometers even existed. It turns out the city had warmed by about 3 degrees Celsius since the mid-1800s, which is a pretty huge shift for a biological system. And he realized early on that cherry blossom records were a gold mine. In Japan, the blooming of the sakura is a massive cultural event. Because it was so important, people wrote it down every single year. Aono spent decades scouring library archives for mentions of hanami parties or festival dates. He found records in the diaries of powerful court officials and logs of local shrines. And he put it all together and created this 1,200-month chart that shows within the last 100 years, it has shifted almost a month earlier. So I think it was a couple years ago, they had the earliest blooming, which was in March 26th, right? That was the earliest date in 1,200 years. So I believe this is like around up to the time that he passed away and stopped doing it or whatever. But so before that, it typically happened in late April, right? Mm-hmm. So by using all of this information, he figured out, actual real climate change information, real data. And I thought that was pretty cool. There's actually a chart that's gone viral. The chart that was created has gone viral online. You can look it up. And I think that's another great way to study and prove climate change to people too, is start digging through the records. And in this article that they talk about, they say even you can do this on your own, right? Like anybody who's interested, just start writing stuff down. Like you study the trees, the flowers, or whatever. Write it down, because somebody in 100 years might find your diary or your blog or whatever and say, hey, this guy kept, or this woman or whoever took time and then put all that together, and they could figure out what our temperatures were and what the temperatures are in 100 years, if we're still around in 100 years. But I thought it was really cool, using all that data and putting it together. Like, man, sticking to plants
is usually because you trampled on the plant and it was designed to stick to you. Sorry.
Yeah. As long as it's not poison ivy.
Yeah.
Well, you might want to stick to this plant, Paul.
Oh?
Scientists create plant that produces ayahuasca, shrooms, and toad psychedelics all at once.
Oh, no. Just what I need.
Scientists have engineered tobacco plants to produce 5 psychedelic compounds that are normally found in a wide range of natural sources.
They're going to roll it into cigarettes and make it addictive.
I just kept thinking of tobacco.
Yeah.
From The Simpsons.
It tastes like grandma. It's like they like it at first, but then it has a bad aftertaste. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The breakthrough could lead to more sustainable and scalable production of these compounds by using model plants to biosynthesize common psychedelic tryptamines. See, that's why you say you're tripping when you take that stuff. It's the tryptamines, man. Such as psilocybin from hallucinogenic mushrooms, and dimethyltryptamine, DMT from plants, and psychoactive compounds secreted by the Sonoran desert toad. See, that would be cool because you won't have to lick the toad anymore. And just
Yeah, that's been an issue.
Eventually, this research could pave the way toward, as one example, tomato plants that contain microdoses of psychedelic cocktails in each fruit. However, the study's authors emphasize that these modified plants would need to be limited to medical use in clinical settings and should not be accessible to consumers for blah, 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 blah. Way to be a downer, scientists.
Right.
But it's funny, though, because they're using tobacco plants, but then they also say you could create tomato plants. So it is like tobacco.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you could combine the two, and they just haven't because it's just not edible. You know, like if you like a stomach ache, you could eat one.
Well, it would replace, like, you know, how like baseball players used to use the chew.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be tomatoes. They're all like,
Just
or
like-
tomatoes.
Got,
They're
like,
all like chewing on
tomato juice is coming out of it. Yeah. Looking all sweaty and weird. And yeah, that's gross.
Let's see. Should we go doom and gloom?
Yeah, I think we
All
need we need to go down. Yeah.
All right.
From there, why not?
Humans and animals are facing a hidden fertility crisis. Scientists warn.
Does this have to do with like microplastics?
Close. And actually, I do have a microplastic article too,
Okay.
which is a little bit of good news in a way. But this one is now because the world is swimming in so many synthetic chemicals. Some scientists think that we've already breached our planet's safe limit.
I wouldn't be surprised with like the explosion of plastics and everything.
Yeah,
in
and
the last,
also pesticides, pollutants, forever chemicals.
was it like from the Industrial Revolution on? Yeah.
So in this new review, a team of toxicologists and biologists argue that a diverse array of pollutants combined with increasing pressure from worsening climate change threatens fertility, biodiversity, and health on a global scale. And this is for humans, other animals such as marine mammals, birds, fish, invertebrates, reptiles. And in just listen to this, in just half a century, Earth's wildlife populations have plummeted by more than 2/3.
Yeah. But some of that I feel like also has to do with like deforestation and stuff too.
Urbanization.
Yeah, urbanization.
Yeah, I'm sure it's part of it for sure. But you know, they do believe that pollutants and climate change are thought to be a significant cause of that decline. At the same time, human infertility rates also seem to be on the rise in both males and females. And no one knows exactly why that is. Some of these scientists have pointed the finger at the proliferation of hormone-disrupting chemicals in our lives. Today, there are more than 1,000 synthetic chemicals on the market that can mimic or block natural hormones, and those are just the ones we know about. Only 1% of all synthetic chemicals have received sufficient safety evaluations, according to some estimates. And Suzanne, ecotoxicologist Suzanne Brander from the University of Oregon says, ecosystem and human health are deeply interconnected. Warming temperatures, hypoxia, and chemical exposures interact to exacerbate reproductive stress. Human fertility trends parallel wildlife responses and highlight that all living organisms are involuntarily exposed to chemicals that have not been thoroughly vetted for safety. So great, there we go.
Yeah, you know, like that could be proven. Things are going to be on the downswing. And be very like pointed to the evidence of what happened, and there's still going to be a political party or person that's like, nah, we can't listen to that.
Yeah,
That's
fake
it.
news.
Fake news. Yeah,
Scientists don't know what they're talking about.
like the population is noticeably less. Like,
But I will
people
say,
are shooting blanks. Nah,
nope,
it's bad science.
because the vaccines.
So God didn't want you to have children.
But on the flip side, because scientists do make mistakes,
No.
they're not infallible. Scientists find that lab gloves may be skewing microplastic data.
Yeah, because people are actually touching stuff with, yeah.
A University of Michigan study suggests that the nitrile and latex gloves scientists commonly use could be causing microplastics levels to appear higher than they actually are.
Okay, that's great to know that those are the same gloves used in like food prep.
Right? That is true too.
So like,
yeah, does that
I
counteract?
mean, your dirty, oily hand would have been better than the glove that you used. Yeah.
I think so in a lot of ways. I mean, back in the day, you would just, I worked in restaurants and you just had to wash your hands.
Back in the day, yeah.
The gloves, and yes, and they're just these plastic gloves. They're not really. I don't know. That's another discussion, but but then it's funny though because you think like, okay, well then does that balance out? The actual microplastic level is as high as it is because we didn't account for the gloves being used by food preppers.
Look, just wait until you get the firmest data that you can get on that, because that people are just going to take that and run with that.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
We're
all good. See, just scientists messing up.
If the libs didn't make us wear gloves all the time to handle your food, pump the brakes. Right. That's not necessarily yet what's happening.
But researchers found that these gloves can unintentionally transfer particles onto lab tools used to analyze air, water, and other environmental samples. The contamination comes from the stearates, which are not plastics but can closely resemble them during testing. Because of this, scientists may be detecting particles that are not true microplastics. To reduce this issue, UN researchers Madeline Clow and Anne McNeil recommend using clean room gloves, which release far fewer particles. And so there we go. So maybe if food prep just use clean room gloves, then we're okay. We may be overestimating microplastics, but there should be none, said McNeil, senior author of the study and UN professor of chemistry. There's still a lot out there, and that's the problem. Chloe added, as microplastic researchers looking for microplastics in the environment, we're searching for the needle in the haystack, but there really shouldn't be a needle to begin with. So we'll see where that goes. But I mean, it's. I don't know what amount it doesn't really say in the article, how much that could be skewed. It does say this, but I don't know how you can, scale this up to all the studies and everything. It says on average, the gloves introduced around 2,000 false positive signals per square meter. The type of contact we try to mimic touches upon all varieties of microplastics research. If you are contacting a sample with a gloved hand, you're likely imparting these stearates that could overestimate your results. So we'll see where that goes. Maybe they'll change the game and people start using the different kind of gloves, and we'll find out what is really happening. Now, here's a little home scientist story. A biohacker claims to have sequenced their own genome at the kitchen table using an M3 Ultra Max Studio, Claude AI, and a $3,200 sequencer.
I thought this was still the LSD or ayahuasca story or something.
There's plenty of kitchen table.
I would say kitchen table discoveries. Yeah.
And this,
bro, I think I just invented.
I invented a whole new psychedelic, man, with AI. DIY project requires 100 gigabytes of data storage per run and tons of RAM. So this tinkerer says they've sequenced their own genome at home and using their Mac Studio with a few lab-grade but consumer-accessible biotech gadgets such as the Oxford Nanopore Min Ion. A family history featuring an autoimmune disease was the reason why this person wanted to create this project. Now, this blogger admits no medical advice is intended. Not trying to say you should use it, but in a kitchen genome sequencing test doesn't match the accuracy or rigor of a clinical diagnosis. But it's still pretty interesting and a cool experiment. They would use the device's adaptive sampling functionality and an LLM, which is Claude in this case, to generate a BED file, chromosome, start, end for each gene, to concentrate on specific genes relevant to the family history of autoimmune disease. And I guess a large part of the blog post about they did it is how the home genome sequencing was completed. It includes a bill of materials with the aforementioned sequencer, and that was like the biggest ticket, basically saying that you could do this relatively cheap. Another considerable expense was the flow cell, which was $900, and it's a single-use consumable, contributes the most considerable expense in repeat genome sequencing runs. So there you go. If you want to create your own genome sequencer, have at it. I mean, it's not going to do any harm, you know. You might still want to go to, you know, if you find something wrong with your genome, you might want to still
see a doctor or something. Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we got here? What else do we got? Or you know what? Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into some more weird science right here on Think Theory Radio.
Today, 1 in 5 working-age Americans has a mental health condition.
People in all types of jobs and at all levels.
And the key to helping us succeed is a supportive and inclusive workplace.
All of us have a role to play in making that happen.
So what can I do to help?
As a CEO, I can set the tone for supportive culture.
As a manager, I can offer assistance and accommodations.
As a coworker, I can listen and be a source of support to my colleagues.
As someone with a mental health condition, I can ask for what I need to perform my best.
I can offer all employees the supports they need to deliver on the job. For the team
and for the business.
What can I do?
What can I do?
What can I do?
I can remind others
that we all benefit from workplaces that promote good mental health.
Mental health-friendly workplaces are more important than ever.
And all of us have a role to play in promoting them.
Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Think Theory Radio. Today we've been talking about stars colliding. When worlds collide. 10,000 new exoplanets. AI on a rampage. A new drug combining 5 psychedelics. And that's all because today it's... And...
Tales to Astonish.
And yes, we have much more in store.
Don't lie to them.
That's it. We're done.
That's the show.
Finishing it early today. About 15 minutes of commercials coming up. Now, here's I have like this. I guess that you could call this kind of the invention segment of the Weird Science episode. But chemists make hydrogen from breadcrumbs. In a groundbreaking reaction that could replace some fossil fuels. Imagine replacing fossil fuels with breadcrumbs.
That's random. It's a win for the bakers.
Yeah. The new process reported February 23rd.
I was thinking like Thomas's English muffins becomes like the new BP in like the next century. Sorry.
What's the wholesome? It's like the new.
Well, I'm trying to think of like baked goods. Like it was like Dolly Madison or like
Sarah Lee.
Sarah Lee's going to become the next superpower.
But this new process, reported in the journal Nature Chemistry, combines natural fermentation processes in bacteria with metal catalysts to generate an array of valuable chemical products from simple food waste. Calculations showed that this hybrid procedure was carbon negative overall, and the authors think it could be the first step in reimagining chemical manufacturing as a more sustainable industry. Now, however, the bulk of hydrogen gas used in this reaction is derived from fossil fuels through a dirty and energy-intensive process called steam reforming, which produces 15 to 20 kilograms of carbon dioxide for every kilogram of hydrogen generated. Consequently, hydrogenation is a huge sustainability challenge for the chemical industry, and scientists are urgently calling for greener alternatives. Turning to Nature, Stephen Wallace, a professor of chemical biotechnology at the University of Edinburgh, decided to investigate whether it was possible to harness the power of biology to tackle this chemistry problem. Many bacteria naturally produce hydrogen, and when they are forced to respire anaerobically, or without oxygen, they release a constant stream of this gas into their surroundings. If this could be linked to a compatible chemical system, it would be theoretically possible to use biohydrogen in a hydrogenation reaction, thereby eliminating the need for fossil fuels in this process. The team cultured E. coli bacteria in a glucose-containing medium, adding a commercial palladium catalyst and a test substrate before sparging the mixture to remove oxygen. The metal catalyst comes in and essentially bound to the cell membrane. Simone Mora, a biotechnologist at the University of Nottingham, told Live Science, the cell itself will produce the hydrogen, and then as soon as the hydrogen starts to diffuse out of the cell, it will hit this metal catalyst, which will do the second part of the reaction and produce a hydrogenation product. And with the biocompatible system established, Wallace next sought to replace the expensive glucose feedstock with a cheaper and more sustainable alternative. Focusing on bread waste, the team used microbial enzymes to break down the complex carbohydrate molecules within the breadcrumbs into simple glucose units. This waste-derived fuel was then fed directly to the E. coli cultures, effectively converting breadcrumbs into hydrogen. The use of biogenerated hydrogen resulted in a 3-fold decrease in greenhouse gas emissions compared to using fossil fuels. The breadcrumb-powered hydrogenation process, in particular, reduced the global warming potential by more than 135%.
Wow.
Corresponding to a carbon negative footprint. And now the team is working to increase the number of possible substrates and developing the process to accept more types of biowaste. Ultimately, they hope the method can be incorporated into industrial chemical synthesis. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you got to find creative ways, right?
Yeah, breadcrumbs. Follow the breadcrumbs, man.
Thank you. You beat me to it.
Let's see. Here's another invention. Amazing inventions.
Don't create a whole new show now. Weird science. Awesome inventions.
Yes. Now this one, check this out.
And gadgets to us. Sorry.
Yes. And gadgets to amaze.
There you go.
Well, in this one, inventors of a new living knee replacement describe why this tech is desperately needed and how it works. So researchers at Columbia University and the University of Missouri are working to make that vision a reality. Their 3D printed knee implant, called Nova Knee, is composed of a biodegradable scaffold packed with stem cell derived bone and cartilage.
I already don't have confidence based on that name.
Nova Knee. They'll change it once you get to
Spanish means no go knee.
No go knee. But this is their idea is that once inside the body, this bio stem cell derived bone and cartilage scaffold will gradually disappear as it's replaced by new bone and cartilage that will integrate into the patient's skeleton. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I've always thought about, like, wouldn't it be cool if we just had easily replaceable body parts?
Mm-hmm.
Especially knees, because I feel like that where, like, most people really, have problems.
That's the first start of me getting old is in my knees. I'm feeling it.
Exactly.
Walking up the stairs, my kid needs something's like, oh, I got to turn around.
Exactly. So this is, if all goes well, the developers hope to launch their first human trials as soon as 2028. That's pretty awesome. And imagine that combined with other, 3D printed, like,
man, I know
heart's
I'm
going
not
out, just open up, pop in a new biotech heart, and just eventually it just absorbs into the body. And
I don't know if I want to be the bionic man, though, the osmosis bionic man by the end of my life.
You might want to, though.
Maybe,
Really, like, once you get all crickety and crackety, you're going to want to, like,
right, yeah.
Like, bring on those bio knees. Right. Especially for, like, joint stuff. Maybe not like a 3D printed new brain or heart or something, but I'd do it for, like, knees and elbows. And
call me wishbones because I'm always snapping. Like, join the jelly club like us.
Now, here's another invention. Amazing. No, sorry. And this is kind of goes along with the other one. If you have two of these two inventions together, you will live forever.
Okay.
It's a nasal spray that rewinds the aging brain, restoring memory and reversing inflammation in preclinical models. Imagine that, a nasal spray that reverses aging in the brain.
I feel like this is a win for the cocaine users of the world. I already know how to put stuff up my nose. This is great.
It's all cleared out in there. It'll go right into the brain.
Right.
Direct access.
Right, yeah. With all the holes. Oh, my gosh.
So basically, this is trying to counteract what scientists call neuroinflammaging, or inflammaging. I think that's what he said.
Okay.
Which is essentially inflammation in the brain that starts to create persistent brain fog, makes it harder to think, form new memories, or even adapt to new environments. This is all increasing the risk of disorders like Alzheimer's. A landmark study by researchers at Texas A&M suggests the inflammatory tide responsible for brain aging and brain fog might actually be reversible. And it wouldn't involve brain surgery, but this simple nasal spray. They, led by Dr. Ashok Shetty, University Distinguished Professor and Associate Director of the Institute for Regenerative Medicine, the team developed a nasal spray that, with just 2 doses, dramatically reduced brain inflammation, restored the brain's cellular power plants, and significantly improved memory. And this all happened within weeks and lasted for months.
Well, then you got to go get a refill.
Yeah. I mean, this is at least in the first trials. I mean, eventually I think they would get it, maybe you do, you wouldn't have to keep getting it. I don't know. But brain age-related diseases like dementia are a major health concern worldwide, Shetty said.
I'm just wondering if this is going to turn into like a flowers for Algernon type of situation here. Wasn't it like the janitor wasn't so bright and they experimented on him and then he became like a genius for a while and then he slowly started deteriorating.
Right.
But like Algernon was the rat that they were, the mouse or whatever that they were testing this on.
I mean, you never know. Or it'll be one of those things where it's too expensive for most people to get.
There's that too. That was my second thought. Yeah. When the COVID vaccine came out and like the elite were trying to step all over each other to get it first.
But this, it's really interesting though. They're hoping that eventually, what they're using is, so at the heart of this groundbreaking development are millions of microscopic biological parcels known as extracellular vesicles, or EVs, that act like delivery vehicles carrying powerful genetic cargo called microRNAs. MicroRNAs act like master regulators. They help modulate and regulate many gene signaling pathways in the brain. And using a nasal spray, the tiny EVs bypass the brain's protective shield and travel directly into brain tissue where they are absorbed. Intranasal delivery allows it to reach and treat the brain directly without invasive procedures. Once absorbed into the brain's resident immune cells, the microRNAs suppress systems and the sting signaling pathways known to drive chronic inflammation in aging brains. So they hope that eventually it would be like, you just a couple doses, bink, bink, maybe once, twice a year.
Yeah.
You got your brain back. Or at least, in the very least, deter dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff like that. Because they were saying like the numbers of dementia cases are set to double. It says they're going to double over the next 4 decades from 514,000 in 2020 to about 1 million in 2060.
Holy wow.
Yeah.
Why?
Probably one, population, is the increase, so that's just going to bring up the number. People are living longer, so they're more likely to get dementia and Alzheimer's.
Gotcha.
And also all them microplastics, man.
I didn't know if it was something like that.
I'm sure it's part of it.
Well, yeah, because everyone's subscribed to Disney Plus, and therefore you're going to,
Yeah, too much doom scrolling.
Yeah.
I guess we are at the end of the show, my friend. It happened so fastly.
Now's the time to say goodbye.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody for listening. We'll be back again next week and every Saturday, 6 to 7 p.m. right here on WCPT 820 Think Theory Radio.
The Sports Cubicle. We have a 2-time national champion, head coach of the North Central Football Cardinals. It's Brad Spencer joining the Sports Cubicle today.
How much do you have to